Okay, today we're going to finish our notes that we did on page 10. We've already done multiplying and dividing fractions. Then today we're going to multiply and divide mixed numbers. So on page 10, I want you to add mixed numbers to your table of contents. And then we're going to go to our page 10, which we already have done and glued in. We've done the top part, so now we are going to go to the bottom, multiply mixed numbers and divide mixed numbers. We're going to start with the multiply mixed numbers. So when we turn over that first flap, we're going to start at the top, and again with multiplying and dividing you do not find a common denominator. So you're going to write don't get common denominators. This time, since you have mixed numbers, you have to change all mixed numbers into improper fractions. And we'll review that in the example, but you do that by doing the around the world method. Again, with fractions, you're going to cross-reduce, if possible, and then you multiply the numerators, and then you multiply the denominators. And like all fractions, at the end you always simplify if possible. Okay, so we're going to go to your first example, which is 2 4/5 times 3 4/7. We do not need common denominators, but the first step then is to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. And so when you do that, you go to 2 4/5, and if you remember, you multiply 5 and 2 to get 10, and then you add the 4. So that would be 14 over 5. You always keep the denominator the same. Then you're going to multiply that. You're going to change 3 4/7 into an improper fraction. So 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 is 25, and you keep 7 as your denominator. Now you have your two improper fractions, and you're going to cross-reduce if you can. So you're going to look at 14 and 7 and say, gosh, is there any number that goes into 14 and 7? Okay, what goes into 5 and 25? 5, so we're going to divide out a 5 here, that becomes a 1. Divide out a 5 here, that becomes 5. Now, just like with multiplying fractions above, you multiply the numerators. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 times 1 is 1. So your answer is 10 over 1, which means the answer equals 10. Okay. Next we're going to go to the dividing mixed numbers. And when we divide mixed numbers, we're going to turn it over and go to this column. Again, with multiplying and dividing, we do not find a common denominator, so you're going to write don't get common denominators. Again, you have to change all your mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now for this one, since it's dividing, you have to flip the second fraction. Remember, that's its reciprocal. Once you flip the second fraction, then you're going to multiply. You will always cross-reduce if you can. And then you follow the steps for multiplication. And with all fractions, you are going to simplify your answer at the end. Okay, so we're going to go to our example here. 4 2/3 divided by 2 4/9. The first step is to change these into an improper fraction. So like we did before, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So we're going to write 14, you always keep the denominator, 14/3, divided by 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 makes 22. Keep your denominator of 9. Since we're dividing, we have to flip our second fraction. So that means 22/9 is going to flip to its reciprocal, and it is going to become 9/22. And we are going to, instead of divide that, we are going to multiply, because you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, now we see if we can cross-reduce. And it looks like we can divide out a 2 from 14 and, no, divide out a 2 from 14 and 22. So if I divide out a 2, I get 7. Divide out a 2, I get 11. Divide out a 3, I get 1. Divide out a 3, and I get 3. Now we are going to multiply our numerators. 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 11 is 11. So when we look at our answer now, it's 21/11, which is actually an improper fraction. We cannot leave it as an improper fraction. So remember, you will divide to turn this into a mixed number. So 21 divided by 11. 11 goes into 21 one time. When you subtract, you are left with 10. So your answer is 1 10/11. So your final answer would be 1 10/11. Okay, we have some practice problems to do with this. So we're going to have you try these skills over here on the left-hand side. Underneath the other problems, you should have left some room. So the first example that you are going to try is -1 1/2 times 2/3. The second example that we are going to use is 2 2/3 times 1 7/16. The third example, 3 1/3 divided by 1 2/3. And the fourth example is 4 1/3 divided by negative 2 3/5. Take a minute to write those down and then complete those tonight at home for homework, and then we will go over those tomorrow, and make sure you write down any questions you have so we can go over those in class.